King Solomon is remembered as the wisest man who ever lived, a king whose wealth, wisdom, and glory were unmatched in human history. His reign marked the golden age of Israel, a time of peace, prosperity, and the magnificent temple of God. Yet Solomon's life is also one of the greatest tragedies recorded in the Bible. The man who began his journey with unmatched devotion to God slowly drifted away, allowing wealth, power, and foreign influences to capture his heart. His story is a powerful reminder that even the wisest person can fall when they stop fully following God. Solomon was the son of King David and Bathsheba. Before David died, he declared Solomon to be the rightful heir to Israel's throne, despite opposition from those who sought power for themselves. After David's death, the young king inherited a united kingdom that stood at the height of its strength. Solomon knew the enormous responsibility placed upon him. Rather than asking God for military victories, riches, or long life, he humbled himself in prayer and asked for something far more valuable: a wise and understanding heart to govern God's people. God was pleased with Solomon's request. Because he desired wisdom instead of personal gain, God granted him extraordinary understanding unlike anyone before or after him. But God also gave him what he had not requested: immense wealth, honor, and influence. Soon, Solomon's wisdom became famous throughout the ancient world. Leaders, merchants, and scholars traveled great distances simply to hear him speak. His judgments amazed everyone, including the famous case where two women claimed the same baby. Solomon proposed dividing the child in two, knowing the true mother would rather surrender her child than see him harmed. Her compassionate response revealed the truth, and all Israel recognized that God's wisdom rested upon their king. Under Solomon's leadership, Israel entered an era unlike any it had ever known. Peace surrounded the nation, allowing trade and construction to flourish. Gold and silver poured into Jerusalem from distant lands. Ships returned loaded with precious stones, exotic animals, fragrant spices, and rare treasures. The kingdom became a center of learning, culture, and international diplomacy. Nations admired Israel not because of military conquest, but because of the extraordinary wisdom of its king. The greatest achievement of Solomon's reign was the construction of the temple in Jerusalem. His father David had dreamed of building a permanent house for God, but that honor was reserved for Solomon. Thousands of skilled craftsmen worked for years using the finest cedar from Lebanon, massive stones, and pure gold. Every detail reflected beauty, reverence, and excellence. When the temple was finally completed, Solomon gathered the people of Israel for a magnificent dedication ceremony. As the priests carried the Ark of the Covenant into the most holy place, the glory of the Lord filled the temple like a cloud, so powerful that the priests could not continue their ministry. Solomon then prayed that God would hear every sincere prayer offered in that sacred place and show mercy to all who sought him. It was one of the most glorious spiritual moments in Israel's history. News of Solomon's wisdom spread across continents. Among those who came was the Queen of Sheba, who traveled with an enormous caravan carrying gold, spices, and precious jewels. She tested Solomon with difficult questions, expecting to find exaggerated stories. Instead, she discovered that his wisdom far exceeded every report she had heard. She was overwhelmed by the greatness of his kingdom, the order of his palace, the excellence of his servants, and the blessings God had given Israel. She praised the God of Israel for placing such a wise king upon the throne. But success slowly became Solomon's greatest temptation. As his wealth increased, so did his desire for luxury and political alliances. He married hundreds of foreign women and accepted their customs and religions into his household. God had warned Israel's kings not to multiply wives because they would turn their hearts away from him. Sadly, Solomon ignored that command. The king who had once built the temple for the Lord also built high places for the false gods worshipped by his wives. Little by little, his heart became divided between the true God and the idols of surrounding nations. Because Solomon abandoned complete faithfulness, God declared that the kingdom would one day be torn apart. Although God honored his promise to David by allowing Solomon to remain king for the rest of his life, he foretold that after Solomon's death, the United Kingdom would be divided. The seeds of national disaster had already been planted through the king's disobedience. After reigning for 40 years, Solomon died, and his son Rehoboam inherited the throne. Soon the kingdom split into two nations, Israel in the north and Judah in the south, fulfilling God's warning. The golden age of unity came to an end, and generations would suffer the consequences. The rise and fall of King Solomon remains one of the Bible's most powerful lessons. Wisdom alone is not enough if the heart stops obeying God. Riches, success, and fame can never replace faithfulness. Solomon began as a servant seeking God's guidance and became the greatest king of his generation, but he ended his life divided by compromise. His story reminds us that true greatness is not found in wealth or power, but in remaining faithful to God until the very end.